The autumn wind is a pirate, blustering in from sea. With a rollicking song he sweeps along, swaggering boisterously. His face is weather-beaten. He wears a hooded sash, with a silver hat about his head, and a bristling black mustache.
Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of Codename New 202. I'm your presenter, Shabu RU, and today's topic is somewhat controversial. I've never met a name or anything that generates such polar opposite of feelings. On one hand, there is a group of individuals that feel that he is the standard bearer, carrying the torch, keeping the flame alive. And then there's others that think he's sadistic as Cobra itself. That name is none other than the BlackMajor. Now, for those that don't know and have lived in a hut or something, the BlackMajor specializes in customized GIJoe figures. Basically, using the Hasbro blueprint, these figures are altered or changed so they could fit a variety of different types of dioramas or vehicles or preferences. For example, this is the Cobra Trooper. But if you notice, mine is in my alma mater, Rutgers, is red, black, and white. A lot of my custom BlackMajor figures incorporate my alma mater. We have an Alley Viper here, same thing. And here's a Night Viper, same thing. I love red and black. And of course, these were never offerings from Hasbro. So for someone to add a little bit of artistic talent, creativity, I think it's wonderful. Now, I've gotten to know the BlackMajor personally, and I find that the BlackMajor is a warm, caring, he'll go out of your way to help you out individual. So all the backlash that he's gotten from, I guess, a small group of people, I don't think is justified. Now here's the issue. There are some people that buy BlackMajor figures and put them online or in secondary markets and pass it off as original. Those people are the ones that have tarnished this man's name, and kind of, this is his art. So that those people are the ones that should be ashamed for doing what they're doing. BlackMajor, like me, like you, is a fan of GIJoe. And all of this is a labor of love. And I think they're wonderful additions to any collection, and especially for vehicles. For example, I have the His Tank here. And if you notice, my His Tank driver is on the turret. But I have female Cobra Troopers in the back and in the driver's seat. In one of my earlier videos, I discussed about female Cobra Troopers. And I'm going to be honest, my inspiration was the BlackMajor's version of female Cobra Troopers. And you see, these are in white, again, Rutgers colors, but I've seen them in yellow, fluorescent orange, neon green, all different colors that were never offered from the manufacturer. And I think those are suited for people that just want to, like, you know, I guess go outside the box and like fill up their dioramas and displays with a little bit more color, a little bit more variety. I also like the fact that he also has different ethnicities. If you see, this one is African American. We have a Indian Hispanic, a Caucasian, different hair colors, and my favorite all is this kind of mesh up of Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. We have Snake Eyes' head in chrome and Storm Shadow's body, but with the desert camouflage. Isn't this amazing? I mean, just imagine if you had the Vamp Mark II, like kind of a desert scheme, and they captured this. I mean, it just makes your displays, your figures, I mean, your vehicles, your playsets just pop a little bit. And that's the whole purpose. It's one person's love and using art. I think that's what, we can't lose sight of that. And there's other people that like to point the finger and do all this stuff, and I feel bad because they're not seeing this in the correct light. And I think I have a guest who could share some light, and he'll discuss more of the positive and negative attributes of BlackMajor figures. So without further ado, here's Hooded Cobra Commander 788. Take it away, Hoodie.
Hello, Shabir. It's Hooded Cobra Commander 788 here, and I'm going to share my thoughts about BlackMajor Customs. I have mixed feelings about BlackMajor Customs. First of all, they are really nice. They're very high quality. There's no doubt about that. The workmanship in the customs are top-notch. And I have a few. I have some army builders, some Cobra soldiers. I got them mainly to see what they were like and see what the differences were between the customs and the genuine figures. And there are some differences, but the differences aren't necessarily obvious on the surface. I think BlackMajor Customs are good, especially when they give us figures that we never actually could have had before. Some of the customs of the Cobra Bats are awesome, or if you'd like a Starduster with Tiger Force colors, you can have that. Where it becomes problematic is when it's a very close replica of a real figure. And although there's not an intent to deceive, it's awfully easy for people to be deceived by those. They look so close to the original, you really have to be careful about getting a custom when you intend to get the genuine article. The differences are there, but they're not always obvious, especially to a relatively new collector. If you don't know what to look for, it's easy to mistake the custom for the original. And that, I think, is where the problem is. Even if there's not an intent to deceive, if somebody buys a replica figure fully knowing that it's a replica, down the road, if it gets sold and then sold again, down the road, somebody could still mistake it as the genuine article. Now, some collectors don't care. Some collectors are perfectly happy having a replica rather than the actual vintage figure, and that's fine. But other collectors do care that what they're getting is the genuine article, and that's made more difficult by having some high-quality replicas out there that look very close to the real thing, but aren't. Now, for a novice collector, you should ask questions. You should ask a more experienced collector to show you what the differences are so you know what you're getting. But if you've seen the forums and the Facebook groups and things like that, you know that collectors aren't always helpful when they get questions from new collectors. The experienced collectors don't always share information, and they're not always as helpful as they could be. So that doesn't always work if you're a new collector and want to make sure you're getting what you think you're getting. I always try to help when I see people come up with those questions, but the buyer has to beware, and I do encourage other collectors, people who know what they're looking at, to help new collectors know that they're getting the right thing. So those are my thoughts on BlackMajor Customs. I think overall they're pretty cool, but the ones that are very close to real figures, they can cause some trouble, and they really have to be very carefully identified so you know what you're getting.
Thank you, Hooded Cobra Commander, for sharing your thoughts and opinions on BlackMajor Customs. Now, if you've lived in a HUD or whatever, you need to follow HCC788 by clicking on the link below. He brings a world of information and knowledge to collectors, which segues into my next part. He talked about how, educating other collectors or new collectors, and that again falls on the community as a whole. We need to help each other out. There are a lot of people coming in and rediscovering the love of G.I. Joe. Instead of them, going astray, help. There might be things to look out for, the things to point out with. It's our responsibility as members of this community to welcome others, to educate them, and to support them in their collecting. Now, again, the Black Major, this is all a labor of love. I cannot, overstate that enough. That his intentions is purely for the love of G.I. Joe and to, just to be a part and everybody get together. And it's a testament to the creator for what he does. And I'm glad to have him part of the G.I. Joe community. I think he's a very, very important figure in our community in the fact that, he's giving us things that enhance collecting as a whole. So I wanted to thank everybody for watching. Hit like or subscribe. Once again, I want to thank Hooded Cobra Commander 788. And make sure you subscribe to ACC 788 and expand your knowledge of G.I. Joe. Thank you.